Hello and welcome to the third episode of Archaeology in Finland. Municipal Archaeology interview with Andreas Koivisto. I'm going to be honest with you. According to the original plan, right now I would have started talking about Finnish prehistory. And only much later through the podcast, I would have started sharing with you the interviews I held with some contemporary professionals working locally. But when I read the answers Andreas Koivisto had given to my questions, well, they were just too perfect a link between what I told you in the last episode and Finnish prehistory for me to ignore it. And I mean, in this podcast, I am the boss, so who's gonna stop me? So, here we go. Andreas is the author of the upcoming book Ikiaikainen kotimme, arkeologinen matka muinaisen Suomeen, which translates to Our Ancient Home, an archaeological trip to ancient Finland, which he did not mention in his interview at all, but which for the records I'm very curious to read. He works in Vantaa. For those who are not too familiar with Finnish geography, Vantaa is located in the southern region of Finland called Uusimaa, and it is part of the Helsinki area. The so-called Helsinki airport is actually located in Vantaa. Would you expect a city or town museum to have an archaeologist on board in a permanent role, even when such city or town is not particularly famous for archaeological matters? Let's hear how it goes through Andreas' words. This interview, just like the upcoming ones that you listen to through this podcast, was held by email and I'll read it out loud for you. Yes, I know to listen to the actual voices of the interviewee would have been cooler, but this trick in order to save time was suggested to me by my teacher Liisa Seppänen, probably because she knows very well how impossibly busy we archaeologists tend to be. But hey, here comes the interview. Hi Andreas, what are you specialized in? As I work as an archaeologist for the Vantaa City Museum, I am specialized in the archaeology and history of the Vantaa area. What are your duties as the archaeologist working for the Municipal Museum in Vantaa? My primary duty is to make sure that the archaeological remains of the Vantaa area are dealt with properly when the city is growing and new buildings are rising. Every now and then, new parts of the city are being planned on archaeological sites. Then I see to it that archaeological excavations have to be made before the building starts. I also try to get the new areas to take the history of the place in consideration when planning the new area. In that way, the new city becomes more interesting when you can sense the past among the newly built areas. How is your relationship with the public? How do people react to archaeology? I find that popularizing archaeology is very important. Almost once a week, I visit school classes to tell children about the archaeology of their hometown. I also keep lectures on evenings for adults. Usually people are very interested. Archaeological finds are very tangible. To learn that interesting things have happened close to where you live is something completely different from reading about general historical facts of your country or the world. Is it important for the public to actually meet the archaeological world? If so, why? It makes the city so much more interesting to see that it has layers, that people have lived in the same place for thousands and thousands of years. When you see the history and archaeological past of an area, you see that you are not the first one living there. It might make it easier for you to settle in and make you proud of your home place. Archaeological sites are not easily seen in the city structure as it is mostly hidden beneath the ground. So you actually have to lift the archaeological world up by other means. You can, for example, make info signs with pictures of archaeological findings, make street art with ancient themes, have street names made according to the archaeological finds, and of course arrange different happenings with historical themes. What was the biggest surprise of your archaeological career? It could be a finding, an achievement, something funny, whatever comes to your mind. I don't know about surprises, but there have been many moments when I have felt like, wow, during my archaeological career. One of the first is when I discovered a fingerprint on a 5,000 years old ceramic shard. Thinking that you can't come much closer to the Stone Age people than that, What are your hopes for the future of archaeology in Finland? I mean actual archaeology in Finland, not this podcast. I hope that archaeology gets a much stronger foothold in Finnish society. Nowadays, Finnish history is very much focused on what happened after Finland became independent and on the two world wars. Earlier history is quite poorly known, so I hope that we can make the long history of our country more visible. Take the human beings that lived during times long past, lift them up, and make the interesting fates of them known for a larger part of the people living in Finland. Here the interview ends. You see, this is exactly what I meant when during the last episode I talked about us archaeologists being no treasure hunters but rather looking for information. I'm not going to be a hypocrite, of course I'd love to find a bronze statue that could end up in a museum. But can you imagine the excitement of finding fragments and traces that will help to recover pieces of unknown history? The fact that there's still a lot to be discovered about Finland, despite all its challenges, makes it an archaeological paradise in my eyes. But what do we know already? What has already been found? I'll tell you about it in the next episode, which shall be dedicated to prehistory. Copyright note: this podcast is created for educational and entertainment purposes exclusively. It shall not be monetized, and its reproduction for commercial purposes is strictly forbidden. The intro and outro theme is called Archaeology in Finland, just like the show itself, and it is composed and played by yours truly, Delia Tannino or Delia Morrigan. I'll see you in the next episode.